The klaxon blared, rousing Kara from a light sleep. She rubbed her eyes, groaning as the automated lights in the barracks flickered to life, harsh and unrelenting. Across the room, Jax yawned loudly, stretching like a cat. Lyrea levitated her boots toward her with a casual flick of her wrist, while Trinok was already seated on the edge of his bunk, polishing the claws on his lower arms with a steady, methodical rhythm. "Today's the day," Jack said with a grin as he pulled on his uniform. "I heard we're running a simulated combat mission. Finally, some action." "Let's hope you don't trip over your own ego," Lyrea retorted, smirking as she secured her utility belt. Kara chuckled, but a nervous energy bubbled inside her. This was what she'd signed up for, but the thought of putting her skills to the test in a live scenario made her stomach churn. She finished lacing her boots, took a deep breath, and joined her squad as they filed out of the barracks. The recruits gathered in the simulation hall, a massive, dome-shaped space filled with advanced holographic projectors and modular terrain generators. Commander Ryliss stood at the front of the room, her silver scales glinting under the overhead lights. "Today's exercise will test your ability to operate as a cohesive unit under combat conditions," she announced, her amber eyes scanning the crowd. "Your objective is to infiltrate a secure facility, retrieve the hostage, and extract to the designated safe zone. The simulation will include environmental hazards, enemy forces, and dynamic challenges designed to replicate real-world scenarios." The room buzzed with nervous excitement. Kara clenched her fists, determined to prove herself. "Vance Squad, report to Sector 3, Ryliss commanded. "Your mission begins in 10 minutes. Dismissed." The simulation began in darkness. Kara's squad crouched in the shadow of a simulated rocky outcropping, the flickering lights of a holographic facility visible in the distance. The air smelled faintly metallic, a testament to the station's advanced projection systems. "Here's the plan," Kara whispered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. She pointed to a holomap displayed on her wrist-mounted interface. "Trinok, you take point. Your size and durability make you the best choice for breaching the perimeter. Lyrea, you'll provide overwatch with your telekinesis. Disarm traps or disable drones from a distance. Jax and I will cover the flanks and handle the hostage extraction." Jax raised an eyebrow. "What? No solo heroics for me? I'm crushed." "Save it for the debrief," Kara shot back, earning a snicker from Lyrea. Trinok led the way, his massive form surprisingly silent as he approached the facility's perimeter fence. His claws made quick work of the lock, and the squad slipped inside. The facility's corridors were dimly lit, the hum of distant machinery echoing through the halls. "Motion sensors," Lyrea whispered, pointing to a small device mounted on the wall ahead. With a flick of her wrist, the sensor floated off its mount and deactivated. "Nice work," Kara said, signaling the group to move forward. They encountered their first resistance in the form of holographic guards, humanoid constructs armed with energy rifles. Trinok charged forward, using his armored forearms to deflect their attacks, while Jax darted to the side, his stun rod crackling as he disabled one of the guards. "Clear!" Jax called as the last guard flickered out of existence. Kara felt a surge of pride. They were working like a well-oiled machine, each member contributing their unique strengths. As they neared the room where the hostage was being held, the simulation threw them a curveball. The facility's systems detected their presence, triggering an alarm. Red lights bathed the corridors, and the sound of mechanical reinforcements echoed from every direction. "We're out of time!" Kara shouted. "Trinok, breach the door! Lyrea, cover us!" Trinok slammed his claws into the door, tearing it open with a deafening screech. Inside, a holographic figure representing the hostage sat bound to a chair. Jax rushed in to free them while Kara and Lyrea held off the advancing guards. "Almost there!" Jax called, fumbling with the restraints. "Hurry up!" Kara shouted, ducking as a bolt of simulated energy sizzled past her head. The squad managed to extract the hostage, but the path back to the extraction point was blocked by a simulated landslide, a dynamic hazard generated by the system. "Lyraya, can you clear this?" Kara asked, her voice tinged with desperation. "I'll try," Lyraya said, sweat beading on her forehead as she extended her hands. The debris began to shift, but the effort was clearly taxing. "We're sitting ducks here!" Jax shouted, firing wildly at the advancing guards. "Trinok, help her!" Kara ordered. Together, Trinok and Lyraya managed to clear a narrow path through the debris. The squad sprinted toward the extraction point, the hostage in tow. They crossed the finish line just as the simulation ended, the environment dissolving into a grid of glowing lines. Commander Ryliss awaited them in the debriefing room. Her expression was unreadable as she reviewed the mission data. "You completed the objective," she said finally, her tone neutral. "But your execution was sloppy. Orion, your recklessness nearly cost your team valuable time. Lyraya, your abilities are impressive, but your stamina is lacking. Vance—" Kara tensed. "You show promise as a leader, but you must learn to anticipate challenges before they arise. Leadership is not about reacting, it's about preparing." "Yes, Commander," Kara said, her cheeks burning. Ryliss's gaze softened, just slightly. "Despite your shortcomings, you demonstrated effective teamwork. There is potential here. Do not squander it." As the squad returned to their barracks, the mood was subdued, but as they recounted the mission, laughter gradually replaced tension. "Not bad for our first run," Jax said, grinning. "Next time, we'll crush it." "Next time," Kara agreed, a determined smile on her face. The first real test of their abilities was behind them, but Kara knew the road ahead would only get tougher. She was ready. The tension in the training grounds was palpable as Kara's squad stood at attention, awaiting their next orders. Around them, other groups murmured in hushed tones, their excitement barely contained. The buzz in the air wasn't just about the exercise. They'd all heard the rumors. Today's challenge wasn't just about teamwork, it was about competition. "Listen up, recruits!" Commander Ryliss's voice cut through the chatter like a blade. Her amber eyes swept across the assembled squads. "Today, you will participate in a capture the flag simulation. Your objective is to retrieve the flag from your opponent's base and return it to your own. Standard rules apply. You may use any means necessary within the arena to achieve victory. Teamwork and strategy are key." She paused, her gaze settling on Kara's squad. "Vance Squad, you will be competing against Lykari Squad." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Kara's stomach tightened as she glanced across the training grounds. Lykari Squad was infamous among the recruits. Their leader, a towering Avaron named Drenix, was as calculating as he was ruthless. His team consisted of some of the top performers in the cohort, including a Zenarian with expert stealth capabilities and a Talon engineer known for her ingenious traps. "Great," Jax muttered under his breath. "We get the galaxy's biggest show-offs." "We'll handle it," Kara said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We've got strengths they don't. Let's focus on using them." The squads were escorted to opposite sides of the massive zero-gravity arena, an expansive space filled with floating debris, simulated asteroid clusters, and holographic energy barriers that flickered intermittently. The flag for each team was secured within a shielded zone, accessible only through a complex network of traps and obstacles. "Your time starts now!" the automated announcer boomed. The arena's holographic grid shimmered to life, and the simulation began. Kara and her squad huddled behind a floating asteroid, their voices low as they strategized. "Trinok, you're on defense," Kara said, her tone firm. "Your job is to hold our base and make sure they don't get past you. Lyraya, I need you to scout ahead and neutralize any traps or barriers they've set up. Jax and I will push toward their base. Once we're close, we'll figure out how to grab their flag." "Got it," Trinok rumbled, his mandibles clicking in affirmation. "Just don't do anything reckless," Lyraya said, shooting a pointed look at Jax. "Who, me?" Jax said, feigning innocence. "Let's move," Kara said, cutting off any further banter. As they advanced through the arena, the team quickly realized just how formidable Lykari Squad was. A series of energy mines blocked their initial path, forcing Lyraya to carefully dismantle each one with her telekinesis. "Keep going," Lyraya said, sweat beading on her cyan skin. "I'll catch up once I've cleared these." Kara and Jax pushed ahead, only to find themselves ambushed by a Zenarian member of Lykari Squad. The alien shimmered into visibility, its cloaking device deactivating as it lunged at them with stunning speed. "Watch it!" Jax shouted, diving to the side as the Zenarian's energy staff crackled dangerously close. Kara ducked under another swipe, pivoting to deliver a precise strike with her stun rod. The Zenarian flickered, its holographic form destabilizing as it was eliminated from the simulation. "Nice teamwork," Jax said, breathing heavily. "Keep moving," Kara urged, her eyes scanning for more threats. As they neared Lykari Squad's base, Kara's comm buzzed with an urgent message from Trinok. "They're attacking our base," Trinok said, his voice calm but strained. "Drenix is leading the charge. I'm holding them off, but I won't last long." Kara hesitated. They couldn't afford to lose their flag, but abandoning their push now could mean forfeiting their chance to win. "I'll go back," Jax said, reading her expression. "You're better at figuring out traps anyway. Go get their flag." "Are you sure?" "Go," Jax insisted, already turning back toward their base. Kara pressed on alone, using her wrist-mounted interface to scan for traps as she approached the flag's shielded zone. She could see the holographic field protecting the flag, glowing faintly amid the floating debris. A Talon engineer stepped into her path, her mechanical exosuit enhancing her speed and strength. "You're not getting past me," the Talon said, her voice cold and mechanical. Kara dodged as the Talon fired a volley of energy bolts, using the floating debris for cover. She analyzed the rhythm of the attacks, waiting for an opening. When it came, she lunged forward, her stun rod sparking as it connected with the exosuit's control panel. The Talon froze, her suit systems shorting out. Kara pushed past her, reaching the shielded zone. The interface to disable the shield was a complex puzzle, requiring quick thinking and precise inputs. Kara's heart pounded as she worked, her fingers flying over the controls. Come on, come on. Finally, the shield flickered and deactivated. Kara grabbed the flag and secured it to her belt, her comm buzzing with an incoming message. "Trinok and I are holding them off," Jax said. "But they're not giving up! Hurry!" With the flag in hand, Kara made her way back toward their base, only to find Drenix blocking her path. The Avaron's towering form was illuminated by the arena's dim light, his red eyes gleaming with confidence. "You think you can win this?" he said, his voice a low growl. "I don't think... I know," Kara shot back, gripping her stun rod tightly. Drenix lunged, his claws swiping at her with precision. Kara dodged, using the zero-gravity environment to her advantage, as she kicked off a nearby asteroid, spinning out of his reach. She needed to buy time, not win a fight. As Drenix pursued her, a sudden burst of telekinetic energy sent him sprawling. Lyraya floated into view, her silver eyes gleaming with exertion. "Need a hand?" she said, smirking. "Perfect timing," Kara replied, grinning. Together, they made the final sprint back to their base. As they crossed the boundary with the flag, a loud buzzer signaled the end of the match. The arena dissolved, the holographic grid fading as the simulation ended. The recruits gathered in the debriefing room, buzzing with excitement and adrenaline. "Vance Squad," Commander Ryliss said, her voice cool but approving. You secured the flag despite overwhelming odds. Well done. She turned to Drenix, her gaze sharp. Lykari Squad, your overconfidence cost you. Let this be a lesson. As the squads were dismissed, Jax clapped Kara on the back. Not bad, boss. Not bad at all. Kara smiled, her heart still racing from the adrenaline. They'd won, but more importantly, they'd proven to themselves that they could face even the toughest challenges. Their journey in the fleet was far from over, but for the first time, Kara felt like they had what it took to succeed. The victory against Lykari Squad had left Kara's team riding high, but their celebration was short-lived. The moment they returned to the barracks, a message from Commander Ryliss awaited them. Vance Squad, report to the debriefing chamber at 0600 hours sharp. Punctuality is mandatory. The next morning, Kara stood at the head of her squad in the sterile, brightly lit chamber. Holoscreens lined the walls, displaying every detail of their capture-the-flag match, heat maps of their movements, performance metrics, and even a slow-motion replay of Jax nearly being intercepted during his return to base. Commander Ryliss loomed over them, her silver scales glinting under the harsh lights. You succeeded in your mission, she began, her tone neutral. You secured the flag and outmaneuvered a formidable opponent. However, her amber eyes narrowed, and the squad collectively tensed. Success is meaningless if the methods are flawed. Let us review your performance in detail. Ryliss pointed to the holoscreens, which displayed a replay of Jax's earlier missteps. Orion, she said sharply, her gaze locking onto him. Your impulsiveness nearly cost your team the match. Charging into the fray without considering the consequences is a liability. Jax opened his mouth to respond, but Ryliss raised a hand, silencing him. Lyraya, she continued, turning to the cyan-skinned recruit. Your telekinetic abilities are impressive, but you failed to conserve your energy for critical moments. You must learn to manage your resources. Lyraya nodded, her usual smirk replaced with a rare look of seriousness. Trinok, Ryliss said, her tone softening slightly. Your defensive skills are commendable. However, you rely too heavily on brute force. Adaptability is key in the field. Finally, her gaze settled on Kara. Vance, as squad leader, the responsibility ultimately falls on you. While you demonstrated creativity and quick thinking, your lack of preparation for contingencies left your team exposed on multiple occasions. A good leader does not merely react, they anticipate. Kara swallowed hard, her pride stung. Yes, Commander, she said, keeping her voice steady. Ryliss straightened, her piercing gaze scanning the entire squad. You have potential, but potential is not enough. Dismissed. The squad left the debriefing chamber in silence, each member lost in their thoughts. Back in the barracks, the tension finally boiled over. Impulsive, Jax said, throwing his hands up. I call it quick thinking. If I hadn't acted, we might have lost. And if your quick thinking got us all eliminated, then what? Lyraya shot back, crossing her arms. Face it, Jax. You don't think things through. Enough, Kara said, her voice sharp. The others turned to her, startled. This isn't about who's right or wrong, Kara continued, her tone firm. Commander Ryliss made it clear. We all have room for improvement. Let's focus on fixing our mistakes instead of pointing fingers. Jax muttered something under his breath, but didn't argue further. Trinok clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Ryliss's criticism is harsh but fair. Improvement requires self-reflection. Perhaps we should challenge ourselves to rise above her expectations. Kara nodded. Agreed. Let's find a way to prove we're better than this. The opportunity came sooner than expected. A notice appeared on their squad's holo terminal later that evening. Optional challenge available, the Gauntlet. a high-level puzzle-solving scenario designed to test intellect, creativity, and teamwork. Completion is voluntary, but encouraged for advanced recruits. Kara's eyes lit up. "This is it," she said, turning to her squad. "This is how we show Ryliss we're serious." "The Gauntlet?" Jax said, raising an eyebrow. "Sounds intense." "Good," Kara replied. "That's exactly what we need." Despite some initial reluctance, the squad agreed. The Gauntlet was unlike anything they'd faced before. The chamber was a sprawling, multi-level arena filled with a dizzying array of puzzles, glowing panels that required precise sequencing, suspended platforms that shifted unpredictably, and complex mechanisms that demanded a blend of strength, strategy, and timing. A holographic voice echoed through the room. "You have 90 minutes to complete the challenge. Failure to finish within the allotted time will result in disqualification." "Let's do this," Kara said, her voice steady with determination. The first challenge was a logic puzzle, requiring the squad to align a series of holographic symbols in the correct order. Trinnock's analytical mind proved invaluable as he quickly deciphered the pattern. "Adjust the third symbol to match the refracted angle of the light," he instructed. "Done," Jax said, flipping the final panel into place. The puzzle glowed brightly before dissolving, and the path forward opened. The next trial involved navigating a series of floating platforms, which shifted and spun with dizzying speed. Lykari took the lead, using her telekinesis to steady the platforms long enough for the others to cross. "Keep moving," she shouted, her hands trembling from the effort. Kara and Trinnock made it across safely, but Jax hesitated, misjudging a jump. He dangled precariously from the edge of a platform. "Hold on!" Kara shouted, reaching out to pull him up. "Thanks," Jax panted, grinning sheepishly. The last trial was the most daunting, a massive rotating mechanism with dozens of moving parts. The goal was to align 3 glowing cores simultaneously, but the controls were scattered across the room. "We'll have to work together," Kara said, surveying the setup. "Jax, you take the left panel. Trinnock, the center. Lykari, the right. I'll coordinate." The squad moved into position, each member manipulating their respective controls. The mechanism whirred and shifted, the glowing cores inching closer to alignment. "Almost there!" Kara shouted, monitoring the progress from her central vantage point. Suddenly, the room's lights dimmed, and the mechanism began spinning faster. "Compensate!" Kara yelled. "Trinnock, slow down your core! Jax, speed up yours!" Under Kara's direction, the squad adjusted their movements with precision. The cores aligned with a brilliant flash, and the mechanism powered down. The holographic voice returned. "Challenge complete. Time, 88 minutes. The squad collapsed onto the floor, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," Lykari said, her voice tinged with disbelief. "No," Kara said, smiling. "We crushed it." The next morning, the squad received an unexpected summons to Commander Ryliss's office. "You completed the Gauntlet," Ryliss said, her tone unreadable. "Few squads attempt it, and even fewer succeed. You've exceeded my expectations." Kara stood straighter, pride swelling in her chest. "However," Ryliss added, her gaze sharp, "this is only the beginning. You've proven you have potential. Now, prove that you can sustain it." "Yes, Commander," Kara said, her voice steady. As they left Ryliss's office, Jax clapped Kara on the shoulder. "Looks like you've got this leadership thing down, boss." Kara smiled, feeling a newfound confidence. They still had a long way to go, but for the first time, she truly believed they could handle whatever the fleet threw at them. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking and subscribing.